As controversial as they are, the number of street circuits in F1 are increasing faster than the number of angry Ferrari fans. Let's go back for a second. 20 years ago, during Formula 1's 2002 season, there were only 3 street circuits scheduled to hold a race. But now, with what we know about 2023, there will be 8 street circuits ready to host a race. So what caused this massive spike in street circuits, and is it ruining Formula 1? To answer whether or not they're ruining the sport, we'll have to see why they're in the sport in the first place. Formula 1 has experienced rapid growth over the past year thanks to media like the show Drive to Survive, which has aided in expanding its fan base. With this massive new influx of fans, the number of races in a season has to grow with it, and finding a suitable, purpose-built racetrack isn't all that easy. First, you have to find a track that's suited for F1. You have to try to gather organizers to try to coordinate the race, not only with the track owners, but the country it resides in. It's more complicated than just letting Sainz finish the race. Sorry, I'm just a really salty Ferrari fan. Anyways, let's say you don't want to go through the hassle of finding a circuit. Then why doesn't Formula 1 just build their own tracks? For one, they're ridiculously expensive, with circuits like Yas Marina totaling over $1 billion. They're also a logistical nightmare to schedule, with other series like Formula 2 and 3 and even W Series all racing at the same track over the course of one weekend. But what if I were to tell you there was an easy, cost-effective way to bring new tracks to the calendar? I introduce to you street circuits. Why build a massive facility to house the needs of Formula 1 when you can just race on already existing roads? That's right, no competing with other motorsports series and no insane leasing costs. Seems like a win-win. But that's about where the upsides of street circuits end. When you're confined to a finite area, building an interesting layout becomes an extremely daunting task. Considering there's almost zero elevation change in urban areas, it makes the task at hand even worse. What makes a good track is character. But with no elevation and a limited area to build interesting flowing sections, you can start to see why so many people hate street circuits. But this isn't even where the bad ends. Take Miami for example. It's not a bad track layout, and it isn't even a crammed circuit with no room to overtake. If that's the case, then why do people hate it so much? The fact is, it's built on patches of road that were never meant to be raced on. I mean, for f***'s sake, it's a parking lot. It was never meant for F1. Many of the problems with the Miami GP circuit had to do with grip. Almost none of the drivers had any grip to try to initiate an overtake, meaning that there was no chance for overtaking action, because at any moment a car could lose grip and send them flying into the barriers. Drivers were scared to make moves and feared that they would ruin their race with one mistake. This, in turn, made racing extremely boring. But what about a track like Jeddah? It's provided some of the best races we've seen in the 2 years it's been on the calendar. So what's wrong with this street circuit now? Well, safety was kind of thrown out the window. With the limited space it had to work with, like most street circuits, putting runoff where it was needed and widening areas to let the cars race just wasn't possible. Take between turns 3 and 4 for example. It's a narrow section following the primary overtaking spot on the track. Cars, theoretically, are going to go side by side through here, and last year, exactly that happened. And this was the aftermath.
To the second place, and that's Sergio Perez, who's been tagged, and there's another incident involving George Russell, and it's Russell up against the barriers.
So yeah, crashes do definitely happen at circuits, but crashes like this just feel off. They feel avoidable. And frankly, it was a massive accident, and we are truly lucky no one was hurt. But looking at everything said in this video, it really does seem like street circuits are just a money grab for F1. And I mean, worse layouts, compromising driver safety, and boring races all to save what, money? Seems quite cheap from Formula 1. Now, don't get me wrong, I love street circuits like Baku and Singapore. They're great tracks which I think rightfully deserve a place in Formula 1. But cutting corners like in Jeddah and Las Vegas seems extremely shady coming from Formula 1. But is it necessarily ruining Formula 1? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But that's it for me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.